Today, guys, I want to take a look at this counterweight caddy that I made that allows me to put this in my car and stack counterweights. So when I'm going to a remote location with my telescope, instead of just having them on the floor in the back of my CRV, I'm able to have them stacked to where they're nice and neat and can't move around. And then I'll show you how I made this spacer so that when you're putting the counterweights on, you need to get your fingers between them to pull them off. Now you can do this with any telescope manufacturer. What you're going to need is the counterweight adapter and then obviously an extra counterweight shaft. And what this is from is when Astrophysics came out with the stainless steel inserted counterweight adapters. This goes to my 1600. So what I ended up doing was buying the new counterweight adapter with the inserted stainless steel, and so then this is the old one, and I kept it. And then for this project it became necessary, so that's what we have here. So I needed a way to anchor this, and what I ended up doing, I kind of screwed up here. There wasn't enough stock here to thread, so no big deal. So I just went off to the side, drilled this and tapped it for a 5/16 18 bolt stainless steel. Now I contemplated what I wanted to use for the base, and I would have liked to have gotten aluminum, a piece of say 1/4 inch, but anyways, so what I ended up doing is getting this piece of pine, which was already cut in rounded edges, so it was perfect. I got this at Menards. It was less than $6. So I thought, well, let me just go with this. It's nice and simple, won't take a lot of work. And then I took and polyurethaned both sides, just gave it a couple coats. Now it's 1 inch thick and 12 inches in diameter, and finished up really nice with that polyurethane. Here you see a 30-pound counterweight that I put on at the very bottom. Now the question becomes, what happens when you put another 30-pound counterweight on there? Those things are slippery and they're very hard to grasp the sides and slide them up off the counterweight shaft. So I thought that's why I need to make some kind of a spacer, and I wanted to get something that would be easy to clean, no maintenance, and that's when I came up with the idea of making these spacers out of cutting board material. And as you can see, they easily go on just like that, allowing you to put on your next counterweight. Next, I'm going to put an 18-pound counterweight on. So with that spacer in between there, you can easily get your fingers up underneath there to lift it off. Now I'm real happy with this setup. And there's obviously other ways of doing this. You could put them in a bag, numerous other things, a carrier, but when you got this much weight, you'd have to have several bags maybe, you know, especially if you've got a couple 30-pounders and all that. So to me, stacking them like this was the best solution for me. Now, obviously, you're going to have either a way to cut the thread for the counterweight shaft, or in this case with the Astrophysics, the counterweight adapter worked perfect. I already had one. If I needed it, I would have just bought one. And then again, I've got an extra counterweight shaft, but if I needed one, I would have just bought one. So for me, this was a good solution to carrying heavy counterweights in my car, and then keeping them sorted to where they're not just sliding around. So as promised, next I'll show you how I made these spacers. So I used a 5-inch hole saw and a 2-inch hole saw, and you will need a drill press to do that safely. So once you've cut that out, you'll come up with a disc like this, and I've taken it and filed it and smoothed it up. I probably should have went a little bit deeper just to finish off that last bit over here. But as you can see, we're okay, and that'll all file up. That'll file up nicely. Now what I didn't want to do, once I raised it like that, like I said, I should have went a little bit deeper. And once I raised it up and saw that it was catching, I did not want to go back down because you'd screw this up, the possibility of screwing this up. So, but normally what happens is once you go through, it'll stick in here. And then all you've got to do is take something and push down in these holes to knock it back out. And so here's an example of it. When you cut all the way through, you'll see the piece still in there. So I'm just going to take something here. Just like that. So as you can see, they've all been cut out. I wanted to do everything in one setup. So now we'll go to the next step. So for the next step, we're going to go from the 5-inch to this 2-inch. And I had to get a new one. That's why I'm trying the Spider. That 5-inch and then this one, I've never tried the Spider brand with this different type of carbide and less cutting teeth. Because my old one met an early demise. We won't talk about that though. Okay, next I came up with this setup to hold that piece so that when we're drilling out the center hole, hopefully this will keep it held in the until we get that center hole drilled. Now before you do this center hole, you want to make sure the piece is totally deburred on both sides. And then to take this out, oh, it fell out, good. All right, because otherwise I was just going to loosen this up and pull the cutter head off. So, there's our spacer, and it's easy to do. And so let me go ahead and finish the other 5 and get them all deburred, and then we'll show you what we got. So now it's just a simple task of deburring these. This came out real nice. And what I end up using was this router burr tool. No shop should be without them. It's got these little bits that go in, these little cutting heads to deburr. And you simply just bring it in here and you go around. And this rotates around to follow the work. And so that's all that was required here. These things are really nice. The outside required a file, but the inside didn't.